Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for coming. Rainy day. You have actually driven through the periphery of a typhoon. We appreciate that. Today, we are going to look at some blood tests and how we test the balance oil result to see whether it's working for you. But I thought maybe as a background to that, it's good to know something about lab testing before we go on to that. As you know, Zenzino is a test-based company. We are a premier test-based company, or you can say pioneer. There are other companies beginning to catch on, and they're also trying to bring in tests. We have a panel of scientists who try to formulate newer tests, more accurate tests to see whether the product that you're taking is not only being absorbed, but also being used by the body. They value my marketing input because I tell them, look, this product is like this. Over here, this thing doesn't run that well. The requirement here is something like that. So we may have to modify this product. Initially, for example, the xenobiotic fiber product is improving your bowel movements, bowel health, and so on. How are we to test that? First idea was to actually test your stool. Can you imagine in a MLM situation here, or anywhere for that matter, you ask the member to bring some stool sample. Forget it. Yeah. So they were good enough. I mean, they face the same problem there. It's the only thing is people are more willing to do it, but still a large number hesitant. They tried to work on a blood test and they've just come out with that. It's available in Singapore. We are getting it. Mikhail is working very hard to get it here. Hopefully first quarter of next year. Keep your fingers crossed. Today we start with the lab testing. The question is whether it's reliable or not. And I would say yes and no. Let me unpack that. When somebody is not well, they go and see a doctor or somebody in the health field, and they usually ask a history of the illness. Very important. Sometimes extremely important. While sitting in the clinic, you may find one or two bits of information in the personal history that can clear up many things. Now, I give you one example. I was working in the ENT department, throat pain, swelling. So looked, the tonsil was enlarged, one side, okay? Got pain, but for the size of enlargement, not that painful. Sometimes you can get that if there is an abscess there. And that's the more common one. So what you do is just put a needle there and take out the pus. Now, that kind of infection will develop over maybe 1 or 2 weeks. The key question was, how long have you been having this? That guy said 6 months. Immediately you have to think about cancer. So a good history is very important. And then physical examination. This is what the doctor does. You need a thorough examination. As you get more experience, you can do it very fast. You get focus on the main area. Then comes examination of other things in the body, whether it's fluids, tissue itself, piece of tissue, what we call biopsy, or any excretion. Do you know that they do even analysis of tears? And all my career, I've heard only one case where the wife was allergic to the sweat of the husband. Can you imagine? No. And how do you come there? Many years of searching here, there, eliminate this, eliminate that. Finally, they found allergic to this husband's sweat. So what was the advice given? Make love only in an aircon room. Now, these are just a list of what we can test and is tested in the laboratory. This is called biopsy. Usually we get it while doing an operation. You might be surprised that there are fluids from many other parts of the body, even joint space, a spinal cord. These are the things that we can check. And very quick overview. This lab testing is quite new. what's this, about 131 years or something. That was the first time it was done. At that time, must be very simple and very cool. Lab services, of course. Lab services improves because other disciplines are also improving. Biomedical science, biochemistry, a few other things. I have lived through the period where you check your urine for sugar with another chemical that you put in and you heat. See whether from blue it turns to orange or green, or, and then you know the severity of diabetes. When I was working in Ipoh in my first year, to do blood sugar, you have to take the blood and send from Ipoh to KL, and the results will come back in 2 to 3 weeks' time. That's right. There were times like that, but now things have improved. So transport, packaging, techniques in testing, we've come a very long way. In the process, we also improve the accuracy. Last time was maybe aga-aga, kind of thing. But now quite a bit of accuracy. Now, certain tests, you cannot be accurate, and we'll look at that a little later. 1,000 different tests, maybe a bit more now, because they can test for every drug, every chemical from industrial toxins, not just our markers in our own body. In fact, so much so, some labs have opened a different section for industrial testing. People who work in the oil and gas industry, compulsory, every year they have to go for testing because there are certain toxins that may build up. They are working in the stills, exposure can be very high. Of course, they take a lot of precautions. Many of these things get absorbed through the skin, not just the air, just through the skin also. And some of them are constantly exposed to it. Maybe very low, but yeah, they're 24 hours and their posting is usually 2 weeks before they get a break. Long term. Drug testing has become very useful for drivers. Even then, you give a bottle, go test, bring the urine. If it's a drug testing center, you go into the bathroom to pass the urine. There will be no tap, no flush, nothing. They actually replace. Open the tap, they get some water, come and say it's urine. Toilet bowl, they just take it from there, see? It can be that bad. So they have to go in, give the sample, then if you want, you can go and wash yourself. Today's situation, there are gaps from supply to testing. Your blood or your urine testing is done there. In between, you have collection. You give your blood. When are you giving? Fasting. You're giving it in the clinic. Who is coming to pick up? The lab transport. Now, where is the clinic keeping it? In the fridge or just left outside? That can cause some changes, okay? Now, the guy who's come to collect it, he's going to collect from a few clinics. And then in between, feel a bit hungry, park in the hot sun, go and eat, and that can cause changes. Now, of course, the labs take very good precaution. They've got a container which is temperature control and all that, Handling of the specimen, arrival. Some specimens, you have to take the blood, put inside. You can't shake too much. Some other specimen, you must shake. So that will be done in the clinic, and things that shouldn't be shaken, maybe in the transport get shaken. So there may be a change. Testing protocols. Different labs may use slightly different standards. You will say normal range for this from this lab is from here to here. Another lab may be slightly different because the method of testing could be different. And that is a choice of the labs. Not very much. There are two, at the most three types of testing. Not for all the tests, some of the tests. The results, that's the standard. They'll put it at the site. Blood level of this substance, this much, bracket, it can range from here to here. So we can we can check it with that. Even if their reference points are different, we can do that. Now comes the expertise in interpreting. Everybody doesn't look at the blood result the same. Some people look at, nothing highlighted, no star there. Okay, you're okay. Not okay. You look at it carefully, you can see a lot more things. Your standard screening tests, hemoglobin, white blood cell, liver function, kidney function, urine, your cholesterol panel, Just looking at that, you can say a lot about the patient. So nowadays, interpretation capabilities have been enhanced thanks to progress in biochemical science, not medical science. Doctors never discover anything new. I wouldn't say no. There's only one, 1900 something, Nobel Prize. After that, no. Nobel Prize in medicine goes only to biochemists, physiologists who are doing work in the lab. Doctors we are trained to do certain things. Every day we do the same thing. It's a routine for us. So something new comes up. It takes a bit of effort to change the outlook, include that. Okay. Okay. Now, I would say there are three varieties of Tesla. Absolutely reliable. Hemoglobin, red blood cell, white blood cell, platelet. This one is counted under the microscope and their way of counting it. You're counting. So it's 100% reliable. Okay. Then comes the second round, partially reliable. Yes, it gives information, but reliability depends on the circumstance. Fasting, after a meal, late at night, early morning, sugar can vary quite a bit. That's why you need to do morning and 2 hours after a meal. Fortunately, now we have a test called HbA1c. It will show the sugar level, what happened to the sugar level over the last 3 months. For cancer markers, Western countries generally don't do cancer markers for screening because it can be misleading. Sometimes the value, okay, no one. Oh, it just went off. Maybe we should have subtitles up. The nearest we can get is the red blood cell every minute actually goes and almost gets into contact with all the cells in the body. If you check the red blood cell, that will be a good representative of what's going on in the cells throughout the body and better than liquid testing. We have technology to do all the tests from the red blood cell, but most of those tests are so expensive, it's not commercially marketable. Some have become cheap enough, like I said, the 3-month sugar testing is made from the red blood cell. Okay. That's more and more people testing, the cost comes down. Hormone testing wasn't available 7, 8 years ago. Very difficult. Have to send to Singapore. Turnover is not enough to justify it for the labs. Now, any hormone test is available here. You can do it here. Okay. At Zinzino, our tests are done on the membrane of the red blood cell. When we take in balance oil, we are hoping that that will reinforce, improve the health of the membrane of all the cells. As a representative of something that goes around the body, red blood cell is a good marker. We test the red blood cell membrane to see whether you have adequate amount of omega-3. That's the one that's, not to say missing, very low. At present, from the blood test done by Vitas, which is the lab that services Zinzino, they have the largest number of tests for omega-3 for any lab in the world, simply because Zinzino is worldwide. They get samples from America, South America, South Africa, Middle East, Turkey and all that, whole of Europe, Southeast Asia, India, China, coming, not big enough maybe. And they find 97% of people are short of omega-3. Now, omega-3, by now, most of you know that you need it. You also need it in the right ratio when compared to omega-6. So when you look at the ratio, 97% of the people have very poor ratio. Ideal ratio is omega-6, 3 parts, omega-3, 1 part. Now, actually, it varies from 1 to 5. Some people say 5 is enough. 4, you can begin to feel the effect. But 3 is now considered ideal. But some people still believe those living in cold countries should hit 1 to 1. Wow. Okay. La. And probably they did when they were eating food like cod fish and all. In those days, probably in that area, it was cheap. Those who are living in Greenland, Iceland, their fish and their sea animals, thick blubber, a lot of omega-3. So probably they are used to that. For us, I think ideal 1:3 or 3:1. More of omega-6, less of omega-3. What we find in almost every country, omega-6 high and omega-3 low. Both are important oils. The body cannot produce this fat, these two fats. Body can produce almost any other fat, except this in times of high need may not be enough. But this one, almost absolute zero. This is quite common in the animal world. Goats produce vitamin C in the body. We cannot. We have to get it from food. Omega-3, omega-6. Focus is not on omega-6 because we have too much of it. Where do we get it from? About 80 years ago, we used animal fat for cooking. Lard, pig fat, or some other animal fat. Vegetarian countries like India, they use ghee, and they used small amounts. And then came oils extracted from seeds. And they all said, hey, this is unsaturated fat. It must be healthier. So it was easy to extract. It can last longer in a bottle. Wow, everybody switched to cooking. What you see now, cooking oil means seed oil, basically. Safflower seed, sunflower seed, corn oil, mussel. So now we are told the one is bad for you. So then they said, if it is cold extracted, it's okay, which is true. If you use it carefully, don't use too much. Oil is oil. And then many people will open up makan shops. Not everybody is a good cook. And if your food cooking is not that great, what makes it more tasty? A bit more oil and, fry it. For us, it's really bad. We have too much 6. The ratio should be 3:1. In Malaysia, the average seems to be 22:1. Not everybody shares the ratio, but the biggest I've seen is 100:1. So he was a staff, no more here. Young man, very healthy looking. I said, what are you eating? He lives alone, doesn't cook, is working here the whole day. He goes out to eat, which means mainly fast food. So omega-6 so high. I said, do something too. He didn't seem to take it very seriously. Of course, you won't see the result now, years later, by which time they won't blame this. They'll be, no, this one and that. So ratios are very bad. In India, the ratios are very high, one of the highest in the world, because a large number of vegetarians, even the non-vegetarians, they don't eat meat that much. For practical purposes, most of them are vegetarian. Now, they use a lot of this unsaturated fatty acid, and they find very high incidence of diabetes, heart disease, very high. Accurate testing is important. You must get a product that works. What's the point in testing? You're going to get the same result. Now, before this testing, there's a lot of questions to answer. Is your oil pure? Did you extract it properly? Did you get rid of all the toxic heavy metals, the chemicals? Now, all that is done by a process called distillation, molecular distillation. That means oil which is polluted from the sea, from the fish, you go there, that process takes the oil out and leaves everything behind. And you need to show the certificate of analysis to any government body before you can even sell your product. Registration must be obtained. For that, the analysis is very important. Number 2, it must be sold in your country. I'm producing it in Malaysia. I've got the test to say very good. And I send it overseas. The government wants to know, are you selling here? If you're not selling in your own country, even if you have a certificate, they won't allow you. It's a requirement for any company. What is the negative thing about molecular distillation. What comes out? Pure omega-3, EPA, DHA. Over a period of time, distributed in Europe, Northwestern Europe, and about 15, 20 years, did the survey. Those who took omega-3 fish oil, those who didn't take. Incidence of heart disease, same. Same. Very disappointing. Now, in the distillation, they went back to the people living in cold land, eating a lot of fatty fish, a lot of omega-3. They've got many other medical problems. But heart health, cardiovascular health, quite good. Better than the others. What is missing? In that distillation, they have removed, or it removes itself, all the antioxidants that always accompany polyunsaturated fatty acid in nature. That will be omega-6, omega-3. So you don't have the antioxidant. Okay. So we had vitamin E, astaxanthin, zeaxanthin, seem to work a little better, but still can't hit the level that we want. It helped to make the oil last longer without going rancid. But then they found the antioxidant in this algae plant, which produces the oil, is fluorotannin, which is not reproducible elsewhere. They found polyphenol extracts from olive is the closest that comes to that. Okay. And the quality of the polyphenol group of antioxidants also matter. And it also matters how it's mixed. Now, that is a proprietary secret of Zinzinola. Everybody knows polyphenol. How much you want to put, how do you want to mix it? Very important, whether you're making kueh or you're making medicine. Any local dodo, let's say, very easy, so much flour, so much sugar. But why is this person dodo better compared to that person? That secret, you add the flour, you add the oil, you mix for 2 hours, then you add the sugar, you mix for half an hour, this temperature, then you add the coconut or whatever, that part they won't tell you. Or they will tell you part of it. Same thing happens in the drug world. There's a company that makes an original medicine. They get a time period where nobody can compete so that they can recoup the research money they had spent. Meanwhile, all their companies have analyzed what is inside there, waiting ready. When the patent expires, boom, they come in. Most of them fail. Somehow it doesn't work like that one. Some close to it. So we look at it this way as doctors when we prescribe. This one, take the generic. Maybe it's 25% less potent, but the cost is 50% less. Of course, for critical drugs, cannot lie, You get antibiotic and all that, you need the original. Once in a blue moon, these guys who are generic guys make some combination, trial, their luck. Because turns out to be better than the original. Oh, then lottery. There was one antibiotic, hit that level. Oh, they made millions. The Japanese generic. Hey, this is the product we have. I think all of you are familiar. Just prick 2 drops of blood. Okay. Now you put it on the blotting paper, it absorbs the liquid. It leaves the red blood cell. Once you have a dry blood sample, you can send it overseas without any problem. Otherwise, if you want to send blood overseas, you have to check for HIV, hepatitis B. You must get special permission from Ministry of Health. The courier will charge you extra. Land the other in the country for testing. They will double check. So the cost goes up and approvals and this and that. A lot of delay, So a dry blood spot test, very convenient. Anybody can do it. Confidential in the sense, it will be sent to the email that you have specified. If you want to share, then of course, it's up to you. This is the process. Make sure you follow all the steps. When you want to prick, don't prick at the tip of the finger. That's the most sensitive part. The number of nerve endings there for sensitivity is very high. So a little to the side will be far less painful. What finger to use? I would say use your ring finger. That is the least used. Okay. Index finger and all that can be, because you have to grab something. For some people, it's a bit painful. So ring finger, any finger is okay. Ring finger, left hand if the guy is a right-hander, right hand if he's a left-hander. If he's good with both hands, then poke his head. Some people are good with both hands. My generation, if you are a born left-hander, you get walloped till you become a right-hander. But this is an adaptation. The original capacity is that side. So they do things both sides very well. Now, your blood results will come out in 2 or 3 sheets, depending on how you print it out. The division is one gives you the characteristics related to omega-3 levels. The second one will give you the exact numbers. Okay. So one is qualitative, one is quantitative. But first thing we want to know is what is the ratio like. So that is highlighted in this. That's why it's so big. Now this person is really bad. 24:1 requires a lot of care. Now we also measure, there are certain ratios when we break down the oil, we measure a few things. And these are Swedish words. So it looks a bit funny. What do you mean protection? Actually, it's immune system. Okay? Immune system. No immune, no protection. It's not true. Sorry? Your immune system depends on your diet, enough protein, enough sleep, not too much rest. The contribution from omega-3 is zero. Contribution, you have a gap. So if you get an infection which goes through that gap, it can hit you hard, is it? So that's what it means here. Index, a bit more complicated if you look at the ratios. It should be 3:1. Let's say you have omega-3 100 milligrams and omega-6 300 milligrams. Ratio is okay. But then this is not enough. You need at least 5 to 700. And this has to be higher. So this is related to that kind of measurement. Mental strength, very low. By the way, we have 3 colors. Red is bad. Yellow is inadequate. Green means you're okay. Here it seems to be not too bad. Room for improvement. Mental strength, the part which depends on the structure of the nerves. Omega-3, particularly the DHA part, goes to the lining of the nerves. Our brains have more than 1 billion cells. You're born with it. It doesn't multiply. Brain cells, what you lose, you lose. As we get older, we lose. You drink alcohol, you lose. You undergo stress, you lose. Not enough sleep, you lose. But then we get wiser and cleverer, 40, 50, 60. How is that? The cells don't improve. We are losing cells, but we are getting more clever. The brain overcomes that by developing branches. Okay, when you put your brain to use, it starts developing a lot of branches hooking on to other nerve cells. That's why your memory, when you look at a product or some topic, your connected memory can reach out and bring in information which you have read about a long time ago. So, mental strength, cell membrane fluidity. Our cells, the estimated about 80 something trillion cells in the body. That means it's a crowded place. And then we are moving around. So the cells are knocking into each other. They are all packed. The cell membrane has to be tough. It cannot just break. If the cell membrane breaks, the cell will die. The contents come out and it dies. So your membrane has to be tough. At the same time, flexible. That is what is measured by this. Now, this one, arachidonic acid, just remember this. I will deal with it when we go to the next one. Now, if you look at, maybe I show this. Okay. We try to represent the findings in a bar diagram so that people who don't like numbers can straight away know where they are. Like this one is good. Now, if your arrow is here, And this one, the arrow is here. Both are no good. But here is better off than here. Rather, this is worse off than this one. So the arrow is very useful. And the color tells you red, danger, yellow, inadequate. You must be in the green range. Now we are testing the red blood cell. The turnover is 120 days. That's why the 4-month period. Very few Malaysians wait for 4 months. We all have congested liver. We eat all kinds of things. Congested liver, one of the effects is short temper. Get quickly. Okay. So here, the balance part. This person is very good here. Protection value, you can read that all. This representation in a bar diagram is very easy to explain to someone who wants to understand it quickly and get the gist of it. Don't have to go through the numbers. Some people you need to. Okay. Now, the second one is the quantitative. Now, by the way, the company also, how to put it, busybody. Why test so many oils? We are looking for omega-3, They test 11 oils, bonus. So saturated fat also is measured. It's good to know. Saturated fat is necessary. Usually it's animal source fats, not too much. Too much of saturated fat, your cells become stiff. Then you get stiff. That means you're getting old. Flexibility goes. See? 2 different oils in the saturated fat. Omega-9, which is a healthy oil. And this is the one that helps carry the polyphenols in our product. Okay. Omega-6, omega-3. As you can see, both are a family of 4. All 4 are tested. But what is important is in omega-6, arachidonic acid. And over here, it's the EPA. You can see second and the fourth. Okay, second and fourth. These 2 are the important ones. The rest of it is going through a phase towards that. The body is so careful that we say omega-6 is inflammatory. But this one here, DGLA, has an antioxidant effect. So while being inflammatory, there's also a braking effect on that. The body is very careful, Okay. So those who are interested in numbers, overall, this is where you want to be. This is where you are. And this is the difference. If it is minus sign there, that means you are short of it by this much. If there is no minus sign, you are more than what it should be. I would say this is a target range. 5% this way or that way, that's okay. Don't get too worried. In the human body, nothing is a flat line. Blood sugar, like that. Blood pressure is also like that. Morning a bit higher, the blood pressure can be higher. All day lying, sleeping, not moving. Blood sugar may be high in the morning for a normal person. Poor quality sleep. Late dinner, you can have high sugar in the morning. You may not be a diabetic. Yeah. So there is a rhythm in the human body. So a little bit up, a little bit down, don't worry. Okay. The final aim is this one and this 2. Among the omega-6, arachidonic acid has the strongest inflammatory effect. That's why measuring that in all the ratios is important. Okay. Now here, EPA, DHA, both are important. Slight overlap. EPA more for connective tissue. What is connective tissue? That ultimately becomes joints, muscles, blood vessels, the heart. EPA is important for all this. Skin is a connective tissue organ. So your skin will improve if you take extra omega-3. It will help the skin to retain moisture a little more. As we get older, it's not the water only. We can't hold back the water. Babies look like that because they can hold the water better. Then, of course, you have done your first test and hopefully you wait till 120 days When you do the second test, Vita's lab will produce results so you can compare with your first test. And this is your second test to see whether you have improved in the major markers. If you test early, some people get it right. They were lucky. They took the product, the body used it very well. And, some people, improvement in some areas, not so much improvement. Can you get it right in 4 months? Some people no. Because the inefficiency of using what you are getting, it's slower. It's cranking still. That's why, fat loss should never go for a sudden fat loss program. Ideally, for weight management, 1 year. Then, no matter how much you lose, you will look normal, no wrinkles, nothing. You try to speed up things, the body is not ready to adjust the other areas. Same thing here. Coming down can be a little different for different people. Just a few lines on the new test that's coming. When it's come, we go into the details. Like how do they check blood to see your gut is working okay and not inside? Now, they work on the basis of one of the amino acids, tryptophan, which is, you see, the list of amino acids, the least you need is tryptophan. Not all of them equally, some more, some less. I think glutamine is the one that you need the most. This is based on tryptophan because it's less, more reliable to see how it works. Now, how it is processed in the body can show how your gut is. So it goes 2 steps and we measure those markers to show how the gut is. And of course, you could do it almost all the amino acids, but the scientific committee has gone in. If you do the amino acid, anything else can affect that gut. This one or this one will affect this one. This one seems to be clear of any other influence. So marker is more reliable. That will be coming next year, hopefully. Yeah. I'll stop here. Maybe you have some questions, comments, clarification, anything.
What if the person has too much of arachidonic acid?
What is inflammation? Inflammation is only a process. Okay. Traditional Chinese medicine is called heatiness. Last time we used to make fun, heaty, temperature, same word. What heaty, It's inflammation. Now, for the body to do all the protective processes, killing foreign invaders, bacteria, virus, fungus, parasites, or chemicals coming in, for the body to start working all the fighter cells and increase blood flow to that area, you need this process called inflammation to mount that fight. So you don't have inflammation, you won't have any protection, But this inflammation functions on its own. So once it started, it can't stop and it gets worse and worse. When the job is over, then it comes for you. Starts attacking our own cells, So it's the EPA, DHA to some extent, holds it back. Omega-3 will hold it back. Don't go and take excessive omega-6. Okay? So omega-6, major representative is arachidonic acid. So you need enough of it, not too much. That's why the red is on both sides.
Check out if it is negative, not just 5% left, like more than 20.
Now, here they show the family of 4 oils in each group. So when the important one is going up, the supply of the other things will be less because it's made from here to go there. So this supply can go up and down. It's like you come here one day, they said, we don't have stock, run out of stock. It gives an indication that you are not getting enough of that overall. But the main marker is the AA.
It's caused by AA.
So there may have been a situation where AA was needed more. All the stocks have been used up. So the DGLA get built up later. Whereas omega-3, you need the 2, EPA, DHA.
There's nothing that we need to supplement to increase the DGLA. Basically, just
DGLA is a very big subject and it does many other things. That's not the only one who does that thing. So many people get worried, if I get less of this will be affected. No, body has other ways of working around it.
Any questions from the floor? Someone, at least from our Zoom,
Mm.
Today we've got 13 people listening on Zoom. She says, "Hi, Doc. May I know when is the best time of the day to measure blood sugar?"
It's a good question. Everybody should know, actually. You're not a diabetic. Don't go and measure fasting. You're not a diabetic. You don't take food, it'll be lower than before also. So you get the false feeling, everything is okay. Not a diabetic, not a known diabetic. The test should be 2 hours after a normal meal. So when you're challenged with food, are you able to keep the sugar under control? Not under control, a bit more, but fasting is normal. That means you are going to get diabetes. So at that stage, you don't need medication. Change of lifestyle, diet modification, you can clear it. So not a diabetic, check it 2 hours after a meal. If you're a diabetic on medication, you want to know, is it under control? And the morning one is the most difficult. That's why we do it fasting for diabetics. But with the HbA1c, which is a 3-month thing, that gives you added information. So let's say you are not a diabetic. 2 hours after a meal, borderline, and then you do HbA1c, normal, okay. You haven't crossed the border. You have to start being careful. But 2 hours after meal, normal. HbA1c, higher than normal. Oh, that means there are foods that you're eating which takes you higher. And that is recording that. You can incorporate lifestyle changes.
There's another question from Cindy. She's statement, I'd say rather. When the drop of blood, the air will contaminate it. So it could, she said it will. She says it will affect the result of the test. I think this is a statement, not a question.
Okay. Now, all the test tubes where you put in the blood, nowadays, you withdraw the blood, the syringe with the needle, it's sealed.
Yeah.
You poke and you push in the blood. So it doesn't come in touch with air. Yes, there will be some changes if you expose it to air. But nowadays, all tubes are like.
Okay. I think what she's meaning is our 2 drops of blood onto
The changes will be more for the serum, the liquid, not the red blood cell.
Okay. Since ours is dry blood spot,
That's
very
right.
stable. No. Cindy, so the answer is no, it will have minimal effect to the dry blood.
To the red blood cell, we are checking that. Actually, no effect.
No, the air has no effect. Okay, one more question. The C-reactive protein, it's to measure inflammation. So is it the same as the AA measurement?
CRP is now done quite commonly, and I noticed that it doesn't accurately reflect. So why do we do it? If it is high, it is significant. If it is normal, but you have complaints, then something is going on. CRP can also mean a number of things. You have a sinus problem, CRP goes up. You have a joint problem, inflammation goes up. So the CRP marker could be due to this. It records the general inflammation in all parts of the body. Any disease process, it may show an inefficiency of the liver, a bit slow. So you may have to look at that side. Liver function test, whether the person is burping too much, constipation, things like that. They are cancer patients. Some of these markers, not 100%, but some of these markers are very telling. Some cancers, one of the first things is the cholesterol drops very low. So, wow, very good, man. What diet? What diet? Cancer, Yeah. Some people look normal. The CRP, inflammation, 3 to 4 times higher than normal. They got no complaint. History is very important there.
Just you say that it's a immune system, right? How about the blood action as well? So
Sorry. I was looking there for you speaking.
just now you mentioned it's immune system, right? So how about, is it inverted protection as well, or the protection value?
No, strictly immune system, which means infections. Now you can't say infection, immune system involved in everything, cancer and all that, So basically it's immune. Immune system is not one area. That's why it looks very, immune system is distributed all over the body. About 70% is along the lining of your gut. They function to protect the body from bacteria, virus, fungus. It also makes sure that cancer in the body, all of us have, you can say, runaway cells. They become like cancerous. So your immune system is on top. This activity is up to that level that will take care of it, eliminate those cells. It's when the number goes up or the immune system is down over a period, you can get cancer. And that's not the only reason. There are many other reasons that stimulate it down. It has got an overseer sort of a job for keeping us free of cancer. And the immune system has got other influences also in the body.
You know, the ideal protection value.
Protection value is 0. For the immune system to function well, you need many things. Good diet, enough sleep, in fact, enough protein, not just diet, enough protein, enough sleep, less stress. During stress periods, immune system drops. Okay, let's say all of that is okay. If it shows 0, that means the component that you need, another one, is omega-3. So that part is missing. It doesn't mean your immune system is not functioning at all. You add that missing part, it's going to function better.
30 days of intake of the balance oil for the protection.
Yes. All the markers will improve. Should improve. Yeah. So the Vitas lab called up, at least in Europe, of the 3 to 5% who didn't reach the level, European society, they are more open. They said, oh, didn't take it regularly. I've been traveling, I forgot.
How about this percentage? But I always tell them it's about a trend. It's just like when I do my body checkup every 6 months, I want to see a trend. What have I been doing for the last months that has been different? It's the same case with our
Yes.
balance test. For the last 4 months, what have we been doing different that will contribute to that? So not really to be so until it's a drop 2%, not to that extent, but we want to see it. That's why we encourage our customers to do it every 4 months. We want to see a trend of what we've been doing. But
Doctor, last week, one just tasted balance oil. Then it was gastric.
Mm.
Because she said she used to be a severe gastric patient. So I'm just wondering why.
Maybe it's not the oil, it's the bill. If you have a gastric problem, it can provide a protective layer. In fact, your pain should be less, your disturbance. Now, the other thing that can present like gastric is a gallbladder problem. That person should check with an ultrasound to make sure the gallbladder is okay. No, I mean, on normal diet, okay, then you can. Try small serving, maybe half teaspoon, just to introduce immune system. This question, this person, can he take balance oil? That person, I usually ask whether they are on a normal diet. Normal diet means can eat fish. If you can eat fish, you can take balance oil. She can try. I mean, we suggest 1.5 teaspoon and 3/4 tablespoon. Maybe give half a teaspoon first. Then increase to 1 teaspoon. After that, if no, then your bill went up. You need vegan oil. It's double the cost. We did ask when you was here. It's a costly affair when you switch to vegan oil. Any feedback on their side about the effect? He says same. Not only that, ethnic group, So there could be a race difference. Even in medicine, we find there is a difference. Take cholesterol. Any treatment for cholesterol, Chinese respond the best. Indians, no response. They have to give them medicine. Vegetarian, high cholesterol, cannot work. Malays, you see, some things like this. There is a difference in the region you live, the ethnic group you belong to, maybe influenced by the diet that you take, so many things. Those who can afford to go for vegan, take that line. Go for it, go for it.
Anh chỉ có câu là có từng câu thôi.
Go, sir.
That boy, you know, of the world diarrhea like that. So she raised get take over it. So he take the balance off.
Start slow. Like I mentioned, small amount, testing with a meal, not empty stomach. After food or just before taking food, it sort of mixed with the food. It's a bit easier. But with gallstones, should, how old is she? Roughly 40s, 50s, 60 something. Otherwise, good health.
Or
If they are small stones, many, ask him, he will be able to give you a technique to take it out. If it is big, maybe take it out. You see, those days, to take out the gallbladder, you have to cut across the abdomen, open up. After that, walk around like that for 2 weeks. Now, through a scope, they can do it. Green apple, 4 green apples, you blend it every day and take. It may help to reduce the size of the gallbladder stones. No, apple is more acceptable. Once it's there, then you can skip with the skin. Green, that's why it's green. No, some people, they get bad irritation with apple cider vinegar. Have to be careful with that. Those days, we used to get a preparation, apple cider vinegar and honey pre-mixed, very smooth. They call it honey, 100 ml olive oil. I feel like vomiting already. Not easy, huh? For those who want to take honey, apple cider vinegar, got stomach upset, that honey used to be very good because it's already pre-mixed. You try to mix, it's not that uniform. But now cannot find. I don't know why they don't bring it. Apple cider mixed with fish. Solve all the problem. Yes, at last. Okay. So the blood thinning part has come out. Now, omega-3 does thin the blood, but you got to take a high dose. The blood clotting mechanism has got about 11 to 12 steps. Now, when you taking a drug for blood thinning, it acts at a certain level. The omega-3 acts at a level where the body will not succumb. It can still manage. It'll be thinner within physiological limits. This person's blood is thick, this person's blood is thinner, but this is the limit. So both of them are okay. You'll be at the other end of the limit. You also get that effect with coenzyme Q10. People take it for heart disease. It's a supplement, High dose of that can thin the blood, but again, at the normal level. If the person is already under treatment with a doctor who may not like you taking that product, it's good to check with them. Let's say the person is on a blood thinner and you let the doctor know. If at all he's worried, he can adjust the dosage.
Saying that she has this one case, 11-year-old boy. Okay. Whenever he take balance oil, the red spots will show on the skin. Whenever it stops, then it will subside. Okay. Every time he takes, it will come up again. So she needs an opinion on this kind of cases.
Allergic reaction to seafood, fair minority, not majority, but enough to be noticed. There are people who are sensitive. Most of the sensitive people are okay with the oil. However, there may be a small group of people, even with all that processing, they may be sensitive. Some people may be reacting to the antioxidants of potent one. Maybe mix it with food while eating halfway through, so it mixes with the food. Try and see. In between the meal, smaller amount, so the mixing with the food is there, so the reaction may come down. Let's see how that works out. If it is definitely related to it, no choice. So like I said, if after going through all this, maybe you want to try vegan. So old. Oh, 11 years old. Don't get milk. Stop the milk. You don't need milk. Yeah. Milk at that age reduces appetite, reduces the nutritional capacity, more food, where you need the nutrition to grow up. 11, growth is quite okay. Okay. Yes. That is one of the biggest items that has been, okay, put it this way. They find that sports people, after heavy exercise, whatever exercise, the next day you have muscle soreness, completely disappears with the omega-3. So I'm taking it from there. So if you have myalgia, pain in the muscle or ache in the muscles, it should. There may be other factors which the doctor needs to eliminate, but this will be supportive for sure.